Good afternoon from the GoLocal Live Navigate Credit Union Broadcast Center here in a nice and sunny Providence. Still cold, but nice and sunny. A lot warmer than it has been, so I'll take that. That weather is what has been reminding me for the last couple of weeks how much I enjoy soup. So today on The Taste, we're going to be talking about National Soup Month. Now, I put out on social media that I enjoy soup year-round, which is very true. My mother-in-law can tell you. I'm always asking her to make me soup in some case or another. In the last week alone, I think I've had pasta fagioli, chicken noodle, and a beef barley soup that I had up on Federal Hill. So I enjoy soup. I know a lot of other people do. There's been great reactions to this segment on social media. Thank you to everybody that was sending me comments and messages. I do have to say I'm probably going to be cut off from instant messages for the rest of this segment because I have so many things to try to work into it. But I have some great guests, excited to talk to them and about all the awesome soups. And yes, I will be back to having some wine during today's show. The guests that I have joining me today, and we'll bring in the first one in just a second or so, is I have Isabella coming in from Blount Fine Foods, and we're going to talk about their empire and all the great things that Blount has been doing since 1880. I also have Dan coming in, who is a general manager at Trattoria Express, part of the Trattoria Roma kind of empire as well, that's out in Lincoln, near my hometown out there. And then I have Eric, who's coming in from just like a block over from where I'm standing right now, from Ocean State Sandwich. And all of these guys have got great things going on besides their soups, but we're going to start with National Soup Month and then take it from there. So at the end of this, send me your feedback and comments again, but I think right now I probably got all the questions I can ask them for during the segment. So with that being said, let's welcome Isabella in and get started with Blount. She's got some awesome stuff here. Whoa, and we've got more stuff coming in.
Brought you some
Beautiful.
soups. Thank you very much.
Oh, that one looks unbelievable.
Some lobster bisque there.
All right, I called the lobster bisque before Kate and Molly beat me to anything else. Last week, Molly was beating me to everything on the healthy segment. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having us. Happy Soup Month.
I know, National Soup Month, I know, and Happy New Year. So I did pre-warn Isabella that I'm back to having wine, and I was telling all my guests that. So we'll be sipping some wine as we get into this, and I'll pour as I let Isabella start. But kind of, if you don't mind, before we get to these amazing soups, because I'm already getting starving here, but before we get to the amazing soups, can you kind of tell me about Blount's history? Because we were going back and forth, and I was looking up stuff, and I even got comments on social media, but 1880 Blount was founded.
Yes,
So tell us a little bit about that.
So we have a very long and rich history. As you just said, we started in 1880 as an oyster company.
Oyster?
Oyster, yes, yes.
I guess that makes sense.
So we were doing that for a few decades, and then the hurricanes in the 1930s came along, and those beds were ruined. So the company decided to take their ships out a little further, and we started doing sea clams. And then we did that for another many years. Okay. We were the main supplier for Campbell's soup, so that's when the soup started to come in,
awesome.
As well as the military. And then we continued down that route for many years, and then in the 80s and the 90s, we started doing more prepared foods in the seafood world. Okay. So, crab cakes and breaded seafood. Because people wanted those fresh, good foods at home without having to make it themselves.
So since she said that, don't be surprised if I bring Blount back in like April or May and we start talking about the seafood side of things. Please don't be surprised at all.
So that's what got started into this culinary expedition. And we started producing seafood soups in the early 90s.
So right now, though, there's several locations, right? There's different varieties of what's happening at each location where you're based.
Yes.
So it's Rhode Island and Massachusetts, is that right?
Yes. So our main headquarters is in Fall River,
right.
Mass. And I believe our facility there now is, I think something over 110,000 square feet. It's a big facility.
Fall River's lucky to have you. Mayor Jason Carrera, they're going to be happy about that.
And then we also still do some production in our original facility in Warren, Rhode Island. So that's where it all started for us.
Was in Warren.
Rhode Island based, yeah. And we also, in 2016, we started another location in McKinney, Texas.
Really?
To cover the West Coast.
I completely missed the Texas part.
Yes.
So that was when, in 16?
Yes, yes.
So now you're in Texas.
Now we're in Texas, yeah.
That's amazing. So the company size, from just the locations as well, you guys have to have a good amount of people working on everything.
I believe we have over 1,000 employees now at
You're kidding
all
me.
locations. Yes.
So from 1880 to now, 1,000 employees, a West Coast location,
Yes.
Southern New England obviously covered really
Yeah.
well. That's an incredible story on behalf of Blount.
It's amazing. I mean, I just started the company this past summer, and to learn about the history and everything that's been accomplished is amazing. We actually have this book
Yeah.
here, From Sea to Soup, that tells our history in lots of detail because
See,
it
and I'm a
is
history
so
buff,
rich.
so this stuff, and everybody knows this, I'm a history buff, so this thing, like, I'll be reading this, and this is the stuff that fascinates me, especially that long. I mean, that's
Yeah.
an amazing amount of
Yeah.
time for that growth and for the company to stay successful and do what it's doing.
Yeah.
And I love the Campbell soup part. I didn't know about that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, and in addition to the more soup production side, as a lot of people know us around here, we have the clam shacks and the clam markets. So we have 4 locations. In Fall River, we have a shack and a market.
Okay.
In Warren, we have our clam shack right on the water, a great place to visit in the summer, as well as our new Blount Market and Kitchen, where you can get your favorite seafood dishes all year long.
Really?
And then we have a Crescent Park location in East Providence as well.
God, cheers to you. That's fantastic. Wow, that's
Well, there's
amazing.
a lot of people doing a good job at the company.
Oh, very good. See, this goes awesome, by the way. I forgot to talk about this at the beginning. I did talk about it on my preview with Kate. I am back on my California kick for a couple weeks. I am feeling horrendous for my friends in Napa and Sonoma with everything they went through, the fires and now mudslides. So I'm back to supporting California for a couple weeks and drinking all California wines. So this is a Noble Vines Chardonnay. Awesome to go with any soup, in my opinion. So in talking about the success and everything that's gone on and going into National Soup Month, the 2 locations that you just mentioned are regular places where people can go in and enjoy soup.
Yes, so 2 out of the 4 are clam shacks, so they're just open in the summer.
Okay.
But then our Blount Market and Kitchen in Warren, Rhode Island, and then our Blount Market and Shack in Fall River are open all year round. And we have soup bars that you can go and get your soup fix during the winter months.
So you can walk right in. It is an actual soup bar. I mean, I've seen the pictures.
Yes, yeah.
You can sit there, you can take the soup, eat the soup there, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly. You can get your soup, you can get your, fried clams, lobster roll, so.
So can you do like tasting cups? Because I'm the kind of guy that
Yeah,
wants to go and ladle like a little bit of each one and do taste.
I'm sure we could figure something out, yeah.
You know, I'm always making, my wife says I'm too picky. I go in and I make modifications to everything. So she's probably right. So let's get into the soups because you brought some
Okay,
amazing things. So
yes.
there's 2 different parts to it. What you have in the markets.
Right,
Okay,
right.
there's different varieties. And
Yeah.
then this, which is a newer product line, right?
Yes, so this is our Blount organic line that come in these 16-ounce cups, so it's an easy grab-and-go option for you to bring to the office and have for lunch later. So it's our organic line, and we have gluten-free, vegetarian, vegan options, very clean ingredients.
Gluten-free, did you hear that out there?
And also no genetically engineered ingredients. as
Really?
well. Yes, yes.
So the idea of coming up with this line is kind of a carry on of the tradition of what's been happening at Blount.
Yeah.
But to go this side of it, was there a thought process in making them gluten-free and the healthier side and all that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we want to promote health in our community, and we want to respond to what people want. And part of going with this organic line is that we wanted it to be very grassroots and
Okay.
kind of a product for our community in Rhode Island and southeastern Mass. So with this product, we've made it kind of our locally branded product. So we're partnering with farm stands,
Nice.
local cafes, small markets, as opposed to the big grocery stores, as a
Okay.
way to reconnect with where it all started for us in 1880.
So, and this came out towards the end of last year.
So the product came out, I believe, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, but we started the local initiative in October of this past year, so October 2017.
So how many varieties are there of this one?
So in this particular packaging in the organic, we have 4 flavors right now. Other soups within our company, we have hundreds.
Hundreds?
Yeah.
See? That's
Yeah.
a celebration of National Soup Month right there.
Right, right.
So what are the 4 that we have here?
So we have the broccoli cheddar, the veggie chili, ancient grain minestrone, and tomato bisque.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So the broccoli cheddar I've already called dibs on. I'm sure I'm going to
Okay,
get fun on the
yeah,
rest
yeah.
and the lobster bisque.
My favorite is the minestrone.
So these are soups that are in the markets.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So you can go into the market and try these. So this is the lobster bisque, and then this is the tomato bisque, so the organic variety. Yeah.
Like how can you go wrong? You can't go wrong. You get a bottle of wine, you're all set to go. So the perspective of the ones that you go in, you said you had hundreds of varieties that are in there. Is that a seasonal thing where the menus are changing and they're working on based on their resources, whether they're sourced locally from the sea or farmers around? Okay.
Yeah, so we produce hundreds of soups for different retail and food service locations throughout the country. So we're the largest fresh soup company in the country, actually.
Amazing.
But as far as these organic soups, we do source some ingredients locally, and we always want to promote that and support our local community. To name a few, we work with Robert's Pre-Cut in Cranston, Confreda's Farms.
Oh, yeah.
We can't source locally 100% of the time because of these lovely
Weather
New England
conditions,
winters we have, and just the volume that we do. But we always practice good farming and animal husbandry practices, working with those farms who treat their employees well.
Now, you mentioned the community, and that's from the perspective of this side, but you've also been on the community sampling, supporting community efforts that things are out there. Tell us about some of that.
So as a part of this local initiative, we really want to help the local food system. So we have done a few sponsorships in the past with Farm Fresh Rhode Island, the Rhode Island Farm Bureau, Social Enterprise Greenhouse, and then we also want to support these small farm stands and local businesses by offering a product that, you know, hopefully does well and sells in their stores. We've been doing a lot of different sampling events and just getting back to our roots.
Okay, that's fantastic. Now, I saw somewhere, and I think we may have spoken about it as well, but you've also supported initiatives for those in need. You've helped out the community food bank.
Yes, we have a huge donation program. We do monthly donations to quite a few different organizations. To name a few, the Ronald McDonald House, We Share Hope. We have, you know, I think about 7 of those that we do monthly.
Really?
And then the woman who manages our donations always says, the answer is yes when you ask for a donation. So if people want to come to us and they want to get soups for different fundraising opportunities, church events, races, usually our answer is yes.
I think we should do like a soup and wine tasting event. I think this idea of wine and soup just keeps popping back into my head. I think we should work on that.
Sounds good.
So I think the community involvement, and I got a lot of feedback on that, so I wanted to address that. There was people who were saying, Rhode Island Community Food Bank got brought up to me like 3 times.
So we give either at the end of every month or a few times during the year, we do big donations to the Rhode Island Food Bank as well as the Boston Food Bank.
That's unbelievable. So now, the growth of Blount and going to the West Coast and going to Texas and stuff, you guys have, the things you just brought up, you've maintained your roots here, but you've grown the company successfully, and I imagine it's probably from distribution points and growing the customer base and that. So when it's in Texas, are people knowing the Rhode Island and the, you know, Massachusetts roots?
Yeah, I mean, we are very forward with our roots. A lot of the Texas product goes to the West Coast, so it's kind of more of a local location for them. But that's part of why we wanted to start this local initiative, because we wanted to really make sure we were out there with our community. Our current president now, Todd Blount, he and his family have been here. I think he's the 5th generation Blount to lead the company. So they're a Rhode Island family, and it's important to them and all the other employees in our company that we stay local.
And I have to say, when I reached out to Blount to talk about the segment, you were one of the first people I reached out to, and Todd got back to me. As busy as he is and leading the company, I do want to thank him for that and the communication and hooking me up with all of you guys, because it was a great dialogue back and forth, and we had a lot of good emails to set this up, so I'm appreciative of that.
Happy to do it.
And happy to showcase you as well. So out of these so far, 2 questions for you.
Okay.
1, what's the best seller so far?
Bestseller, you know, they're all pretty even right now. Everyone loves broccoli cheddar, so that's always going to be at the top. Right now, the chili is really picking up because of the cold weather, and but they're all selling pretty well. Like I said, my favorite is the minestrone. So
there you go. That was the second question. She got it already. So for National Soup Month, it fits you perfectly well to be doing something to honor it. So let's talk about what you guys are doing for National Soup Month.
Yeah. So a part of National Soup Month and our local initiative, we're running a couple promotions. So the first is a buy one, get one at some of our local farm stands and cafes and markets that sell this product. So basically, if you go into one of these locations, they can all be found on our Facebook page, which ones are participating, and get one soup, you'll get one for free. So you have lunch for
You're kidding.
2 of the next days, yeah.
And this is until the end of the month?
Until the end of the month,
Okay.
so midnight, last day of January. And then the second one is a customer contest that all locations are participating in. And that one is, if you go to one of the stores, you see this product in the store, take a photo of yourself with the product, post on Facebook, and tag Blount Fine Foods as well as Blount Organic. You'll be entered to win a
Very
contest.
cool. That's
and you'll
awesome.
win a basket full of Blount goodies.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like that. That's very creative. I like that. So you mentioned that we can go on the Facebook to find the locations that serve this, so the other retailers and stuff that do it for you.
Yep.
Is that the one that I've been tagging? I want to make sure I do it correctly for you. So is it Blount Fine Foods?
So Blount Fine Foods, and then you can also look at our website as well. So we have blountfinefoods.com, and all the locations for these are on blount.organic.com.
Blount Organic, okay.
And if you have any questions about visiting the shacks or the markets, it's blount.retail.com.
So that was a couple of the questions I
Okay,
had was people,
okay.
and it's funny is that these were actually coming from people that were out of Rhode Island, out of Massachusetts, asking when the shacks open.
Yes, yeah. So I should know this. I don't know the exact day, but
Is it
come
May,
spring,
or is it-
yeah, it'll be the start of the summer season.
Okay.
So, but as I said, even though the shacks are closed, we have the Warren Market
Right.
and Kitchen, and then the Fall River Market open. So you can, if you get a hankering for fish and chips or lobster roll, you can head over there.
So, and I know we covered a phenomenal amount about the soup, and I'm very excited about the promotions you're on. I think they're great. But the other products that they're carrying, just to kind of give a quick preview on some of the other products that you have in those
Yep,
locations.
yep.
So you mentioned clam cakes and crab cakes.
Yep,
right?
so if you've been to our shacks, a lot of those foods are also available in the market.
Okay.
And then, so like for example, the Warren Market is a great spot to visit because half of it is retail. So you can go and get bags of soup, the cups to have for later, and then you can also stay in and eat
Which is perfect, yeah.
and get seafood or other, lunch or dinner items.
Now, does the menu, with these, when it comes to
Yeah.
the summertime, will you still keep these traditional soups, or will you change to different organic ones?
Yeah, so we do have a few more organic recipes. We may be switching it up. We're not sure yet.
Okay.
These flavors seem to be really well received right now. So for right now, we're keeping it with those, but you never know. Keep an eye out.
Awesome. So that's something that we'll keep in touch with them about. And like I said, don't be surprised if come April, May, when the shacks are going to open,
Yeah.
that I bring back some of the, so the chef is out here. I would like to have him come back to talk about
Yeah.
some of those things, because we've got a lot of feedback about, spring and summer type things, so we'll make sure we get into that. And then you brought something else that I want to make sure
Yes,
we bring up here.
yes.
So tell me what these are, because
Okay, so these are Blount Bucks.
Okay.
So these are for $5, and I wanted to give some to you and the rest of the staff.
Nice.
So basically, if you go to any Blount location, so
Okay.
right now the Warren or Fall River locations, hand them this. It's basically $5. So it's a
So I'm going to give some of these away on my social media. So later
Okay,
on,
there you go.
we'll post a picture of these, and I will give some of these away, and I'm going to ask a question. So you're going to have to answer a question
Okay.
based on the Blount interview that we just did with Isabella here. Thank you very much for coming in today. It was
Thank
great to
you
have
for
you here.
having
I think we
me.
covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's a
of the
lot.
great
And if
history, too.
anyone has any questions, always reach out to us on Facebook. And I'm always looking for more local locations to get into. So if you
Yeah.
have a neighborhood spot that you
guys
really
are
want,
very good at suggestions, my viewers. So if you
So
got
let me
suggestions,
know.
reach out to Isabella. But thank you so much for
Thank
coming in.
you
Happy
so
New Year.
much.
Really appreciate it. All right, so we're going to transition because we got more great stuff. And Christina
Okay.
is back, everybody. Couldn't reach her, but she's back. And Taylor's now helping us. Thank you. All right, so that was a lot of awesome information from a great company. And the history, as everyone knows, I'm pretty big on being a history buff and the exciting things that happen in food and culinary history. And I think that Blount, being from 1880, has a lot of that. I'm going to let Christina grab this last piece here, and then I'm going to bring in with our next guest. Thank you very much. So, in continuing our National Soup Month, I want to welcome Dan in. And Dan is from Trattoria Express. Also another little empire that we're going to get into here and talk about. This one here for us. Beautiful. Oh my God. So, thank you, Dan, for coming in, first of all, because I had to make sure Dan knew that this was going to be easy. I wanted to keep it easy for him. So, the other part I want to talk about with Trattoria Express is that you guys hear me talk about Lincoln and that there's good food in Lincoln, but I'm always in Providence, but this is literally 2 minutes from my house. So it makes me very happy that I can go and find these amazing soups. and the other products that they carry that we're going to get into 2 seconds from the house. So before we get to all these amazing products that you have, tell us about the concept of the Express.
Well, the Express was the original concept. The owners had a favorite location in Rome. It was a wine bar deli concept.
My kind of people.
And they brought that. They wanted to bring that concept over to Rhode Island, and they did expand on that particular concept where the Express in Lincoln is a little more of a hybrid location that isn't just a wine bar and a deli, but also incorporates some aspects of a bakery, and also incorporates some aspects of a traditional. Where we're in New England, they brought in a raw bar aspect also.
Really?
Yes, yes.
My God, I completely missed the raw bar. Speaking of wine, cheers to you and Happy New Year. Thank you for making the time to come in. Okay, so I can tell you, and I'm going to let him talk about the soups in a minute, but this wine goes perfectly with 2 of these 3 soups here. So let's talk about the concept again in that regard, is that there's a name that keeps sticking out. So I was getting different names that were thrown out about the Express.
Correct.
So what is that? I just call it the Express because I'm in Lincoln. I think probably people in Lincoln make up their own things. So I don't know.
It can be a little confusing because we do have our fine dining restaurant next door, which is Trattoria Romana. So the TR in the TR Ginger Express comes from Trattoria Romana. Some people call it TR Express. Some people call it Ginger. And I think it kind of embodies what is kind of going on in that particular location, because there are a lot of different aspects to the restaurant. So the fact that people kind of have different names for it kind of works right along with the fact that it's just such a multi-faceted business.
Yeah, it's unique.
It is. It's very, very, very unique.
So we're going to get more into the other products, but I want to, of course, go back to the National Soup Month. And we're going to also get into kind of the empire. I don't want to forget about that because I've got a lot of people that have talked about how excited and they visit all the different places. But let's go back to the soups for a second. What did you bring me here today?
Well, what I tried to do today is bring soups that we always have available.
Okay.
We have a traditional chicken tortellini soup. We use a cheese tortellini. It's a traditional chicken soup, celery and carrots with a chicken stock base. And the main thing about chicken soup is the chicken. So it's a freshly roasted chicken that's been originally on the bone and expertly picked off the bone, and so it's fresh chicken soup, which of course this time of the year is perfect. I also brought in a French onion. A lot of our soups are very traditional. We're kind of an old school Italian theme, so we try to go with traditional recipes. Our French onion is very traditional. We actually use a little bit of a beef stock, freshly sliced onions. We do a blend of cheeses. There's always traditional onion soup has Swiss cheese. Of course, we're an Italian restaurant. We put mozzarella and Parmesan on everything. So we put some mozzarella and some Parmesan on there. And then this is our signature pasta fagioli. Of course, with Italian dishes, you could probably ask 10 different people how to pronounce that particular soup, and they'll pronounce it 10 different ways. Yeah. I call it pasta fagioli, but you'll hear it called pasta fazool, and a couple of other pronunciations. But ours is traditional with a little bit of a chicken base, fresh carrots, celery, onions. We use a ditalini pasta, which is very traditional, and then also fresh cannellini beans.
So these are 2 of my favorites that I'm a regular in getting at the Express, and I can tell you the hours because I know it opens at 11 o'clock, because by 11:45 I'm over there getting it, so that
we appreciate your business. We appreciate it.
So I can tell you that for sure, and that's predominantly when I go there is in the afternoon. So people can walk right into the Express. They can sit down and enjoy these there if they'd like, or they can take them out like I usually do.
Correct.
So some of the other soups that you carry, because it's usually like 4 or 5, I think.
Exactly.
Right?
So I wanted to bring the ones that we always had available.
Okay.
But
so
we also
always
have
available. You mean like year round?
Exactly.
Okay.
So year round, these are always going to be available to our customers. But then we're always doing fresh soups of the day. Italian wedding soup, Italian wedding soup, very popular. Of course, Friday in New England is a chowder day. We will mix up the chowders a little bit. We'll do a traditional white New England chowder. We'll do a Manhattan style red chowder. And then also Rhode Island has a more brothy clam chowder. And we will try to mix those 3 chowders in on Fridays. We also do a fresh broccoli cheddar. And then depending on the time of the year, you can do some lighter soups in the summer and the spring where you can even do like a gazpacho. This time of the year, people are leaning more towards more heavier, heartier soups.
Yeah.
So you could put a beef stew in there. And sometimes we'll even run like a Southwest chicken or chili.
So obviously you've got a ton of variety
Yes.
just from everything that he just went through. So that variety expands from the Express, but also certain ones that you mentioned that are carried, probably some of these are carried year round at the restaurant.
Correct, right through the restaurant chain.
Okay.
We try to be we try to conform as much as possible, so that if you get something at one location, you're going to be able to get it at another location, so we can be consistent. So these, again, one of the reasons why I brought these particular soups is because all the locations carry those soups, so they can count on having those. And then, of course, we mix in chef's choices.
So speaking of chef's choices, good lead in is that, and we're going to talk more about the other restaurants in just a second as well, but sticking with the soups for a minute, is that all the ingredients, everything that comes from these is made in-house with your chefs.
Correct. Even the French onion, we bake our own fresh bread, so you're going to get a nice fresh baked crouton in there.
Okay.
Which is, just the icing on the cake as far as.
And you mentioned the chicken, how it's roasted and done right in-house as
Exactly.
well, and going from it. So that becomes of great importance in a lot of this, and that was a lot of the comments, is that am I going to ask, are they everything made in-house, they're not ordering from the soups out. There's a combination of both, and I think that there is some, differences in that, and I want to just go back for a second to Blount, is that Blount was saying that they sell to certain places, so that is going to happen, but yet it's another great product. When you go to someone like the Express or the restaurants that we're going to talk about in a minute, it's made in-house by them and their chefs, so there's a different significance for it.
Correct, and customers a lot of times, they're savvy.
Yeah.
And they know.
They know for sure. They absolutely know for sure.
Yes.
If something tastes like it wasn't made that morning, you're going to
Yes.
hear about it.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about Trattoria Romana as the group, because in Lincoln, you've got kind of like a plaza almost to yourself over there.
Correct. There's 3 locations in Lincoln, so we kind of cover the customer bases depending on what the customer wants on that particular day, particular time. We can take care of them whether they want to sit down for a traditional fine dining meal. You have Trattoria Romana.
Yep.
If they want to be in a little more of a casual atmosphere, maybe they have children with them, or maybe they just want to, they're on their lunch break and it want to be a little bit quicker and
Right.
don't have all day basically. They can go into the Express location, and they can spend as much time as they want in there. Express doesn't denote the fact that they have to be in and out.
Okay.
Again, like you said, they can go in and they can order and take things to go, or they can go and they can actually sit down and enjoy a meal. And then on the end of the plaza is our Pizzeria Romana, which is going to be more your calzones and your pizzas and your sandwiches.
And then is there other locations that Luciano has as well?
Correct.
Okay.
So in Johnston, we also have a similar setup where we have Osteria Toscana, which is your fine dining restaurant on one side of the plaza. Again, basically very similar to Trattoria Romana, a little more of a Tuscan style
Okay.
Italian menu, so that it was a little bit different. But again, white tablecloth fine dining. And then on the end of the plaza, you kind of have a little bit of a mixture. It's a very large pizzeria on the end of the plaza, but it's a little bit of a mixture between the ginger style restaurant and the pizzeria style, where you can get some nice salads and you can get some entrees, and you also have your sandwiches and your pizzas mixed in. But then there's also that aspect that Ginger has, where there's a little bit of an Italian market, and you can go in and get some fresh bakeries, some fresh pastries, and there's also a wine bar aspect to that particular location.
So, and Luciano, who is the proprietor
Yes.
of all the locations, has a very, I've met him a few times, and Pauline, who I want to give a nice shout out to too, helped make sure that we got coordinated with you to have you come in.
Of course,
Thank
yes.
you to her very
Yes.
much. But there's kind of, his traditions are very alive and well in all of these establishments. He keeps to his traditions.
He does. I mean, it started at Luciano's in Rentham, which opened up in 1990, and he's had his customer base, it's 28 years now, and he's taken that consistency in that, in those traditional recipes and that template, and he's moved it through all of his restaurants, so that customers, again, no matter which location they go to,
Right.
they're going to have that same feel. You're going to walk in, there's going to be murals on the walls, the
Right.
food's going to have a certain, a consistent level of quality to it. The service is going to have a level of quality to it, so that it's consistent throughout the company.
And these soups, as you mentioned, and I think you were up to like 7 or 8 by the time you talk about all the different varieties that can come out. The soups are available at each of these different locations at different times,
Correct.
at different dates. But going back to the Express, let's talk about the Express for a second in Lincoln and talk about the rest of the products that are in the Express, because you can go in and have soup and then have something else for lunch and sit down and enjoy, again, take it home. And then I got a few different questions that were sent to me about the catering.
Correct.
Because you can do regular catering from the Express, right?
We do both. We can do the pickup catering, the large pickup catering. People just want some prepared meals. They want some large platters to do a house party or do an office party. But then we also have a catering a division where we're able to cater a wedding, deliver large orders. The Express is such a unique restaurant. It's almost like 4 restaurants blended into one, with the catering, with the raw bar, with the bakery, then with the traditional Italian menu. During the day you can go in there and we have a lot of local businesses nearby that they come in and they grab a sandwich, they grab a soup. But then also those people sometimes will come back at night and sit at the bar and have a nice glass of wine and sit down for a fine dining meal in a little bit of a more casual atmosphere, right, and with table service.
So go to the bakery for a second. I got some questions on that. Has the bakery expanded some of the things it's carrying over the summer? People were saying that they were loving the bakery and that there's some new selections.
Luciano is big on keeping things fresh.
Okay.
Keeping things switching up. He basically came in. If you walked into Ginger Express 6 months ago, yeah, and you walked into Ginger Express today, there'd even be a different look. Everything gets moved around. Everything gets freshened up. Everything gets changed around. Nothing stays stagnant, including the paint on the walls and the light fixtures. And he started doing that at Luciano's back in the, when he first started there, where he just continually is evolving these restaurants.
That's excellent. Now you mentioned the raw bar. That's there now. So that's got to be an example of what you're talking about.
Correct. It's such a unique property because, again, kind of like the way the plaza is set up, where whatever you want, you can get it at one of the locations. You can walk into Ginger, where it's such a unique restaurant, and you can pretty much get anything you want in there. You have a raw bar, you have freshly made salads, you have the soups. You also could go in there and have a cappuccino and get some freshly baked tiramisu.
That's the other part. So that was another question going to the desserts. Are the desserts made in-house?
They are made in-house.
Okay.
And then again, we try to change them. Yeah, you're always going to have your tradition. He's big on traditions.
Yes.
All the restaurants are going to have their traditional bases. Even on the menus, you're going to have your marsalas, you're going to have your parmesans, you're going to have those type of items that carry through your menu.
Right.
Just like with desserts, you're going to have your tiramisu and your eclairs and your cannolis. But then the other half of the menu is constantly changing to keep up with people's variety of tastes, or maybe even what's going on with the current market.
So you mentioned earlier when we were talking about the soups, about kind of the seasonality of the different soups. Like you mentioned, the gazpacho can come in towards the warmer months and such. It seems to me, and you just mentioned his evolving of things, he's got to have a knack, and I would imagine he's still in great touch with his roots in Italy, of how he's changing the menu up seasonally as well.
We always had a joke ever since 1990. I started working for him in 1994. That every time he goes to Italy many times a year, he has a house there. He was obviously born and raised there. And every time he would come back, the menu would change. So we would prepare ourselves every time he left and came back that there'd be a change in the menu, and he still does that. And he likes to have everything fresh and local. And but then again, every time he goes away and he comes back, we know where we got the printer. we got to call into the printer, and we're like, there's definitely going to be some changes on the menu, and we're going to be tweaking some recipes, and we're going to be trying some new things that he saw when he was over in Italy.
So, and one of the things was I got a question about Luciano and about if I was going to cover Trattoria Romana. I wanted to do some quick highlighting, which Dan has been great at today, but my whole goal is to hopefully, in one of the future segments, is to bring Luciano in and talk about his history, his roots, that kind of things, and about the restaurant, its history. Because Lincoln, I think he was kind of one of the people that started having good restaurants in Lincoln. We don't have a ton of these great restaurants that you can go out to, and he was kind of the pioneer and then expanded that plaza. So we owe him a lot of credit for that, of what he did in Lincoln, because that's phenomenal that you can go there and find all those great things.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. He had a very strong, what had happened is, even when he was only in Massachusetts at the time, he did realize he had a very strong customer base coming from Rhode Island. And so when it was time for him to start looking for his next venture, it was just natural for him to start looking towards Rhode Island. And actually, at the time, he was living in Rhode Island, and realizing that there was a need. His customers were driving many miles to come out to Massachusetts from Rhode Island, and it's like, well, then let's give them what they want, and let's start.
And he was smart to do that. The growth of the suburbs from a culinary standpoint has been fantastic, and it's improved a lot lately. But I mean, coming into Lincoln, for me to be able to stumble upon you guys after living there a very short time was a phenomenal experience. So very happy that that's there. But we covered a lot about the soups. We did a lot of great touch points on the other establishments, gave an overview of the Express. He mentioned that these are the soups that are available year-round. One of my two favorites right here that you can always get in and grab. And I have to honestly tell you is that I wait one time to meet someone that was coming to meet me, and I sat at the bar and had a glass of wine before they came, and it's the nicest experience to sit there and relax. So he mentioned that you could do that, and I also then had a cappuccino afterwards. So it's a great little spot to be able to go in and do that. And if you want the other, accommodations that they have, they're 2 seconds out the door, walking to your left or your right. So Dan, thank you very much for making the time to come in. I really appreciate it. Tried to keep it as easy as I could for you. Did I forget anything?
Thank you. No,
All
I
right.
appreciate it. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, really appreciate you coming in. Christina's going to help you get those out for a second. There you go. I know these smell amazing. Christina, you can't have the onion one though.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you again,
Thank
Dan.
you.
All right, so before I get to my last guest, I want to just cover a couple of points on the National Soup. Is that every time we bring in a guest, no matter what my theme is that we try to cover as much information about them and their goings-on that they have. And we've been able to do that both with the Express and Trattoria Roma, and also with Blount. And some of the questions and feedback I got from people about future segments, we'll always do that. We'll always make sure that no matter what the theme is, that we cover those different things. So wanted to make sure I addressed that for you. Now, to bring in my last guest, who had to travel so far, I want to bring in Eric, who is from Ocean State Sandwich. Hey, how are you, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Look at this. Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
And he got some sandwiches.
Come on, I know it's National Soup Month.
I told you.
We're Ocean State Sandwich.
Just
Company.
saying, as he came in, that we got to cover everything. All right.
Right there.
All right. So, actually, no, we're going to be careful. I don't want to make sure it falls off and blocks you. But so, Eric and I actually know each other from a different culinary career path that he was in another great restaurant out in Warwick at Ironworks Tavern. So we'll give Lori a little shout out there. But your location here, before we get to these amazing things that are making me want to bite into them, talk to us about your location, which I could basically see looking straight out the window here.
I didn't realize, you guys come over all the time. We are right over at 155 Westminster Street. We've been there for just shy of 3 years. It'll be 3 years, middle of February. We did a large expansion back in June.
Right.
Almost doubled the size of the dining room and almost tripled the size of the kitchen.
Really?
Yeah.
In that location?
Yeah, we took the space next door and
So
had some serious space.
So from a landmark perspective, just to put it there, everybody that's familiar with Providence is that close to the arcade, close to City Hall, walking distance to pretty much every hotel that's in the area that's there, and that location needed somebody like you to go in there, to be honest.
Well, it had been occupied by Amenities Deli for a number of years, and then Amenities went away, and I saw an opportunity to take over the space.
Well, we're glad that you did, and congratulations on the success you've had.
Thank you very much.
So, like I said, we're going to cover, and we have with the other two guests, we're going to cover all the different things that go on there. But when I first looked at the menu and had been over there to go into the space, variety, again, and that's what I tried to make sure, is that everyone we brought in for National Soup Month had, 4 or 5 or more different soups. So let's start there and talk about the amazing soups that you brought in.
Well, we run about 4 to 7 soups a day.
A day?
A day.
I'm pouring Eric some wine when I was talking.
Fantastic. Majority of which we do make in-house. The 3 that we have here are 3 of my favorites, not only to eat, but to make.
I'm going to slide this one so I can make this easier to put your wine there.
Yeah. So the first one here is our blade steak chili. That's the only one that we run every single day. Okay. When I opened the first location that I've since closed and consolidated into this store in Johnston, I would run the chili. We'd have it for a day or 2, and people would come back and say,
"Where's more chili?
Where's the chili?" So I just doubled the recipe and just said, we're going to keep going with it. And it's still by far our most popular seller.
Awesome.
The one in the middle is a take on a Portuguese soup called caldo verde.
Caldo verde.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a potato-based soup with kale and chorizo. So just take some delicious Yukon Gold potatoes, celery, carrot, onion, a little bit of garlic, saute that all together, let it soak with some vegetable stock, and then roast some chorizo in the oven, saute off some kale, add that in, and you have a beautiful
my God.
hearty winter soup.
Yeah.
And then the last one, my favorite and my kid's favorite, butternut apple.
Butternut apple.
Yeah, just because it's clean, simple. Do a simple mirepoix, and then butternut squash, apple, little apple cider, done.
Cheers to you again. That's
Thank
fantastic.
you, brother.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
was tagging earlier that I'm keeping to California for a couple weeks because I'm trying to support my friends out there. They're
Nice.
going through too much out there. So everything you just described, and he was, if you noticed, he was incredibly detailed as to what went into each of these. Where are these concepts and ideas for these types? I mean, some of these are traditional, but you've got your own take on them, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, some of them, the chili recipe is my dad's from years and years and years ago.
Really?
He's the reason that I'm in this business. He and my mother are the reason I'm in this business. They met at his restaurant here in Providence back in the late 70s. It was called the Left Bank.
Really? That's awesome.
Over by where the Wild Colonial is now.
Yep.
Classic French restaurant, and she did her Johnson & Wales co-op there. And
You're
that's how they
kidding.
met. So
That's a great story.
If it weren't for the restaurant business, I wouldn't be here.
That's a great story.
So
That's
yeah.
a great story.
And then the caldo verde, I had seen a recipe and I started playing in the kitchen. It's one of my favorite things to do. I play at home, and then taste and then try and beef up the recipes as for restaurant service.
So what are some of the other soups that you got going there?
Let's see. Today we had chipotle sweet potato, broccoli cheddar. What else? Beef vegetable barley.
Oh my gosh.
And a black bean and corn.
So if someone wants to come in, they can obviously take these out. They can have them for lunch. Can they take them home for dinner? Are there ways to take them home?
Yeah,
for it?
I mean,
Okay.
if we have enough of them, either cold or heated, we can do pints and quarts for take home. We do have some regulars that come in and say, give me 5 quarts of chili, and if I have a day's notice, I can usually
You can do a little bit.
do
I'm gonna
that.
bring in
but-
just a little bit here more.
Oh, yeah.
They're telling me we're going to cut off on there.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to make sure it gets cut off. We've got too much good information coming
Yeah.
in. So a lot of what it is now is people coming in and just taking it to eat right away. and-
Right away. We see probably about 250 people a day walking through the door.
250 people a day.
Yeah, right around
That's
there.
awesome. So,
Yeah, between breakfast and lunch.
yeah. So, and which is the great thing. So, and we're going to get into the other stuff because the sandwich part is not lost in the name by any means. But from this location, for you to be able to do that and to have these kind of products, you're a credit to the downtown Providence area. I mean, it's something that was sorely needed to be over here. So, congratulations again to you on that.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you
from a
very much.
seasonality perspective, and you're like you said, you're tinkering of going in the kitchen and enjoying these products.
Yeah.
How often are you changing the soup menu?
The soups change pretty much daily.
But is there a seasonality thing?
There's some seasonality
Okay.
to it. I mean, it's what I can, what is fresh, because I'm getting all the produce and meats in fresh. But it's also, during the winter months, I'm running these,
heartier
the purees, the stews, the caldo verdes. And then in the summer, I'm running more of the brothy stuff. Your classic chicken noodles, and one of my favorites that is a crossover is called mulligatawny. It's a curried chicken and rice soup. Everybody knows it from Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah.
But it's got carrot, celery, onion, apple, finished with a little bit of cream. When we run it, it sells out like that.
My God, I can understand why.
Yeah,
That's
it's delicious.
Can people do catering with you on these?
Oh yeah.
Just so they,
If we have enough notice for the soup,
okay.
definitely.
So it's something you want to call in advance for. So that was one of
Yeah.
the questions that was out there. So I would guess that pretty much anything. It's a call in advance, place your orders.
Call in advance. For soup, we like 48 hours notice because we need to get product in. We need to be able to make the soup, and everybody knows soup is better the next day. The flavors have to marry in the refrigerator overnight. And then for sandwich stuff, we can usually do it within 24 hours notice depending upon the size of the order.
So when you gave the great detail and talking about the soups and everything is made in-house. It's all made by you. I mean, and understanding.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. So
No,
I mean,
there are some, I'll be honest, there are some soups that we buy because some people just do
like
it
the better soups. Okay.
Yeah.
But still, from the quality ingredient standpoint and knowing what's in your soups and knowing what you're serving to people.
Exactly.
And we touched upon this with Blount coming in at first, is that Blount provides people with soups.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not an unheard of product or a concept to do that, but to know what's in your soups is what's most
Well,
important.
it's really important to know what's in everything because there are so many people that have allergies or
Right.
dietary restrictions.
Right.
I mean, I know Kate here is
Yeah, we can talk about the gluten-free
is
and
gluten-free.
celiac, yeah.
All 3 of these soups are gluten-free. We try to run at least 1 or 2 that are. I mean, the chili's gluten-free. We try to run at least 2 that are gluten-free daily, at least 1 or 2 that are vegetarian or vegan daily. You know, we do all of our sandwiches except for one on gluten-free bread. The one exception is the Thanksgiving. We have a Thanksgiving 365. It's our house-roasted hand-carved turkey, cranberry sauce, mayo, and stuffing. Now, we make the stuffing in-house. I've tried doing gluten-free stuffing. It just doesn't come out
the way you want it.
It's a bad texture. The flavors are there, but it just doesn't jive with what we want to do. So I steer people away from that.
That alone sounded amazing, and I'm going to be running over afterwards. Let's go to the sandwiches, because I'm ready to take a bite out of one.
Okay.
So let's go what you got here.
I brought our 2 best sellers.
Okay.
The one closest to you is the Ocean State Ultimate Grinder.
Ultimate grain.
It's got hot capicola, sopressata, Genoa salami, sharp provolone, mortadella from Daniele, lettuce, tomato, red onion, house-seasoned oil and vinegar mix, and then we make a sun-dried tomato banana pepper relish instead of the traditional hot pepper relish that everybody puts on their grinder. And the sub roll that it's on, I pick up usually around 6:30 in the morning from Bono's Bakery over in Johnston.
Beautiful.
They love it when I walk in the back door. I do as much local sourcing as I can. You'll catch me at farmers markets on Saturdays when I can get out for either for ingredients or for inspiration. And then this one is called the Apple Valley Turkey. We got our start in Johnston. I live out in Smithfield. It's the Apple Valley.
That's cool. I like that.
So we played with some names. It's house roasted, hand carved turkey. So we roast the turkey in house. There's no deli turkey. It's we roast it every day.
You're kidding?
Nah, it sets
Sets
us
you apart.
apart.
That's for sure. Yeah.
There's nothing worse than slimy deli turkey.
There you go.
So so we roast the turkey in house. Then we got crispy bacon, red onion, house-made sun-dried tomato mayo, and Granny Smith apple on a toasted thick sliced wheat bread.
So I'm going to ask you the same questions with the soups. Inspiration behind these? Are these different things again you're experimenting with? Things that customers
Play with
really
flavors.
like?
Like I said, I love to play in the kitchen. My staff will attest to the fact that I sometimes get in their way, make a mess. That's
the perks to owning it. You're okay.
Yeah, I can do what I want. I do test stuff out at home. My wife and kids aren't picky eaters really, so
That's good.
yeah.
Oh, I trained you for that.
well.
You have young kids too.
They're getting up there now, man.
How old are they?
9 and 6.
Oh, you're
yeah.
still young. They're still young.
Yeah, well, it's
9 and 6. My God, we're not old enough to have kids this old. I don't know where this came from. So let's get into the rest, because to me, soup and sandwich, this is the perfect combination.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong in any way, shape, or form. But you've got a large variety.
we have 30 sandwiches on the menu.
30 sandwiches. That's what I'm going to get at. So that was the question. Somebody said, is it 25, 30? I'm answering your question, Jeff. It's 30 sandwiches. There
30
you go.
sandwiches on the menu. Usually there's a daily special. Today we did a variation on the Apple Valley. It was one of the people that works my line, Nova. Thank you for the special. It was fantastic. She came up with the idea of a Death Valley turkey.
Death Valley.
Death Valley turkey. So we took out the sun-dried tomato mayo. We swapped it out for a habanero garlic mayo.
Wow.
We took out the sweet apple, and we swapped it in for the Backyard Food Company's holy jalapeno. So bringing some heat.
That's very good. It sounds like it.
And then instead of regular, just raw diced red onion, kind of settle things down a little bit, we did caramelized red onion. Still on the toasted wheat bread, still cheddar, still bacon, still turkey, but just a little twist.
So you can go in there at any time and you're going to have some kind of surprise, it sounds like, from going in there.
Yeah, tomorrow we're working on, we call it the linguiça bomb.
Linguiça bomb.
Linguiça bomb. It's ground linguiça, banana peppers, hot pepper relish, onions, bell pepper, and then we put it with American cheese on a toasted Bono sub roll, a little bit of mustard.
Awesome. That's going to be available tomorrow.
Yes.
All right, you got your sneak preview right there.
There
You
you
got
go.
some things to know what you can go find there tomorrow. This location that you're at, this variety of the sandwiches, the soups,
Yeah.
you're in a perfect spot for tourism as well.
Oh yeah, we saw it. Actually, I didn't realize it. I hadn't checked the calendar. I've been actually really busy. And getting around with the cold and everything and recouping from the storm.
Yeah.
But there's a ski convention in town.
Yeah.
And we got bombarded with them today. There's been one guy that has
They
been
might have been
coming
out
in the
here
last
checking
4
out these
days.
snow piles and trying to figure out something.
Well, the funny thing was, there was a lovely lady that came in, and we got to talking while she was waiting for a couple of salads that she ordered for friends, and it turns out she's the buyer for a ski shop in Stowe, Vermont, That's where I spent my formative years.
That's so
That's where I went to
funny.
high school. My brother still lives up there. He's got 2 restaurants up there. And it was like, okay, I know all, we know all the same people.
That's the beauty of the guests that are coming in from these conventions and the tourism that we have in the
Yeah.
city. It's awesome. So you just mentioned salads. So let's talk about the rest of the stuff. We covered the soups, the sandwiches. What else you got going on over there?
We have about a half a dozen salads on the menu. Pretty much your standards: a chef salad, an antipasto, using the same meats that are on the Italian grinder. We do a roasted beet salad with candied walnuts that we do in house. They're a little spiced, and blue cheese. We do a simple spinach salad with red apple, craisins, bacon, and onion.
Simple
All the
bacon,
salads
amazing.
can get topped with any of our other, I guess call them deli salads, like a scoop of egg salad, or our curried turkey salad, or our chicken salad, which has apples, craisins, dill, and celery in it.
Shapers.
Yeah,
My God. So we got soup, salad, and sandwiches.
soup, salad, and sandwich. And then we also do breakfast.
What do you do for breakfast?
We do some very simple egg sandwiches. I live right around the corner from Stamp Farm in Johnston.
Yep.
Bobby Stamp is a good friend of mine now. When I need eggs, I stop in, or I text him the night before, leave me eggs in the cooler. I'll be by at 6 o'clock in the morning. And we've got about a dozen egg sandwiches on the menu.
So just to recap here, because we've talked about local sourcing a lot.
Yeah.
You mentioned going to farmers markets, going to the farms and stuff for the eggs, bakeries that you're going to.
Well,
I mean,
this
you
is-
mentioned a little. This is a lot that you're doing. You're
Well,
actually,
this is Rhode Island.
but you're sourcing from a lot of people, and that's supporting the rest of the community,
That-
which is what we need. And
Well, that's what it's
continue to
about. I'm a small local business. I want to support other small local businesses.
Excellent.
And, we live in a community and in an area where it's all very close.
Sure.
Growing up in Vermont, I don't mind driving a half an hour.
Yeah, I know. I'm the same way.
So-
I grew up in New York. If somebody says you're going to go 45 minutes to Newport, I'm like, yeah.
Right, I remember when I was opening the shop in Johnston, I was trying to look at different types of stone, and I told somebody I was going from Johnston to North Attleboro to Cranston and then over to Warwick, and they're like, in one day. But we're so close to everything.
Right.
We've got the city right here, and you drive 20 minutes west, and you've got farms, you've got apple orchards,
Right.
you've got, meat providers. It's fantastic.
So you mentioned in the beginning that your family kind of brought you together around food,
Mhm.
and that's where the concept grew to where you developed this. And you
Yeah.
had one location that grew to this location.
Right.
So I'm coming over from that location to here, and now you've expanded over here.
Right. What I did was I saw an opportunity to expand, a need actually,
Right.
to expand this location because we had outgrown the space. There were too many people in the building and people weren't getting the service fast enough. So I needed to at least expand the kitchen and a little bit of the dining room so people could spread out a little bit more and I could get more hands into the kitchen.
Right.
And it just so happened the timing fell that my lease was up in Johnston. I found somebody that wanted to do something in that location in Johnston,
Nice.
so I sold.
And the popularity here is what led up to all this. And all the feedback I got has been fantastic. To just let you know, seriously, it's been great all day from all the guests to be able to hear that. Is there plans with you in the future? Is there anything coming down the road?
We just did the expansion here 6 months ago.
Okay.
My brain's always
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 thinking
working,
as to the
always
next
thinking
thing
of
you can do?
something. Do I want to do a truck? Do I want to do another location that's further away? Right now my focus is on making sure this place
Gotcha.
is perfect.
And this is open, we said breakfast and lunch.
Breakfast, lunch,
How many days a week are we open?
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday.
7:30 to 4 Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 3:30 on Fridays.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I think I covered most of the questions that I got from all of you out there, so thank you for that. Talked about National Soup Month and covering his amazing variety of soups that he has, the sandwiches, the salads, and then in breakfast as well. And it's important to know, and then people have been talking about ingredients and sourcing locally. He mentioned a lot of the great people, and we've had some of these people on the show, and my earlier guest did as well, Dan from The Express at Trattoria Roma, also Isabella from Blount. Everyone mentioned these great people that were sourcing from locally. So it's a good feeling to know that you guys are all doing that and continuing it. Awesome soup varieties for you to choose from. Make sure you go see him if you're in Providence. If you're not, if you have an excuse to come to Providence, he's so easy to find. You're going to bump into him if you need to. Anything that I missed on your end that you think that I didn't cover? Because I think we covered a lot.
No, I
there.
think we covered a lot.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
So, celebrating National Soup Month. Check out the rest of these interviews. If you missed any of them, go back to it. Thank you for joining me today on The Taste. Enjoy.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you.